All right. So we're going to get cracking. We are live streaming on Facebook. We are full speed ahead here on Zoom and excited to get started. Anthony, why don't you kick us off?
You know what's really cool is that I'm looking on my phone right now and I'm noticing everyone that's chiming in, since I'm now the consumer on the other end of the spectrum, and I'm seeing everyone's comments. So this is wild, man. This is kind of cool. Guys, Anthony Angelillo, branch manager with Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, Tag Team Nation LLC, market company, and been doing this business for about 17 years. As I always tell everyone, damage control came around. We were just telling this to Sandy in February. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was at the Disney Marathon, half marathon, and we shot our first episode. And I was telling Melinda, how do you think we did? She's like, it was great. It was wild. This was prior to, obviously, all this craziness, the epidemic here with COVID-19. But we did such a amazing job, and it really helped out a lot of agents. And I said, you know what, this is what we're going to start doing. We're going to help out a lot of agents. We're doing that with live events anyway. So now let's make it a weekly gig. And so 300 subscribers later, I want to thank you guys for allowing us. I want to thank our guest, Sandi Glandt. We're honored to have her. And, you know, it's just wild to see, you know, things build over the course of a couple of months. So Anthony Angelillo, 17 years in the business. I'll leave it to Melinda. Thank you.
Hi guys, Melinda Grimaldi, your real estate and title attorney and tag team co-host with Anthony here on this damage control. So, of course, love the show. It's really helped. The funny thing is we're starting to get people that are not in the real estate industry to jump on and watch. Yeah. I had a CPA message me, can a tired CPA jump on the call today? I'm like, of course you can. And I think that this might turn into something even more bigger than what we initially planned, which is super cool. So it's my pleasure to introduce Sandi. Sandi and I met probably about a year ago or so through another friend of ours, mutual friend, and I've heard her speak several times. And I think the value that she has to share with everybody is super cool. She's always doing something new. I love to watch and follow her. She's got a bun in the oven and still doing so many things, so there's no excuses. And I'll let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about all the things she's been working on. But she's the productivity guru, that how I like to call her. And so we're going to use a lot of this stuff and we're going to try to apply it to our industry, as I think a lot of people could use what she has in their lives and their businesses and everything like that. So Sandi, take it away. Please introduce yourself and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you, Melinda. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So yeah, I am a high performance productivity coach. So what that means is I work with my clients on many different levels, from group coaching to one-on-one coaching. I have courses, and I help to kind of get you unstuck, because so many of us, we stand in our own way and we have so many things that we want to accomplish. As Melinda was saying, I'm a mom. I've got a very busy 2.5-year-old. I've got a bun in the oven. I'm doing it less than 2 months. I've got a book coming out. I will be releasing the title this week. I haven't officially released it yet. So this week is the week that I'm making that announcement. Shot the book last week. We are just like pumping and grinding away. And I love that we're talking today a little bit about, we're going to get into this a little bit later, but you know, the people that get really strategic right now and are thinking ahead and not letting times like this stop them or slow them down, but actually give you the momentum to speed you up and give you extra drive and extra force, you're going to be so far ahead of the pack. And part of what I do for my clients, again, I help them get unstuck out of their own way and really implement systems and strategies to help you get more done and get out and away from being busy and into being productive.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's
so
awesome, man.
Let's get right into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what do you see as one of the biggest challenges that people get in their own way? So what do you see as one of the biggest challenges that people have in accomplishing their goals?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things, and this is working with my group coaching clients, this is one-on-one, we try and do too much. Like we try and pack too many things, even into a 24-hour period, right? So many of us are used to operating off of to-do lists, and I have to do this today or that today. versus, and I coined the term money-making moves. So versus focusing on the things that are going to actually move your business forward and allow you to be productive versus the things that are in your business that are really just going to take up your time and allow you to get off track from where you want to go. So I always say focus on the things that are going to move you forward and allow you to progress in your business, because there's so many things that we do in a day that, look, we can delegate, we can outsource, we can totally eliminate and just delegate and take off our plate. But we have to be forward thinking enough to know what is going to move me forward. And this, you guys, could also be in your personal lives as well, right? I don't think I've been to the grocery store in 2 years because I outsource it. I order it from Amazon or Instacart. I do all these things because I just know that that hour of getting in the car, driving to the grocery store, coming back home, unpacking, that's something that it's very easy to outsource, and it allows me to buy myself time. So, you know, one of the things I would say is just look at what you're doing. Take like a 24-hour inventory of what you're doing in your day and put some focus on the areas that you can start eliminating or delegating and outsourcing so you can focus on those habits that are going to move you forward every day.
Awesome. I love it. She made grocery delivery cool way before coronavirus. Not
you know
everybody's doing it, but it's the best thing.
You know what's crazy? A lot of people, they're hesitant about having a cleaning service company come to their home and clean, or they're hesitant about having specific things in their life that are going to cost money. Okay. Right. And it's funny. I just did a loan right now, and I was going over numbers for this young gal, 27-year-old gal, and she's contemplating on either going 395,000 or 380. When I broke down the math for her, and we're saving $38 a month, and she's paying the mortgage off earlier, is it really worth the $38 a month? I mean, is that going to be a game changer for you? So it's crazy that you do that, because the grocery thing, guys, I do that, and I have a cleaning company come to my home. And I do that because it's peace of mind. And I also do that because it gives more time for me to do what I want to do, whether it's business or personal life. So it's awesome that you said that. I think a lot of people need to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, you know, I have in one of my group coaching programs right now that I'm running, one of the women in there, she's a single mom, and she's like, Sandi, I just don't have the money to do it. And I said, let me ask you this, because she's also running multiple businesses. And this is for all of you who say, I don't have enough time in the day, or how can I afford this? My response to that is, if you could get on the phone and be prospecting or closing a client or following up with a client to close that business, is that $12 an hour job, $15 an hour job worth it to you versus the money that you're going to make bringing into your business by putting the work in those areas that are going to move you forward? So you have to really see where that time investment is, and not look like what you're saying, Anthony, at the, well, it's only $12 or $38 or whatever it was that she was in the middle of. Look at like the long-term effects and the benefits of what you're going to get versus trying to, you know, pinch pennies and just save a little bit here or there.
Amen. I love it.
That's why, I mean, I have, you know, built out my team. Sometimes we have a little extra team, but I let them help me do everything. Like, you know, a lot of things sometimes maybe I don't even want to share like publicly about the things that I let them do, but literally they're scheduling down to scheduling my doctor's appointment. They know my calendar better than I do, you know, it's like just like hand it there. They're the ones that give me reminders to like do flowers and gifts and all these things. So it's leveraging what you have, whether it's your literal team of like your business, or things that you can outsource like in small pieces, like your groceries, or, you know, a virtual assistant just for one little thing, or, you know, and then as you grow, you can expand on that, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So who are your inspirations or people that you like to look up to? Who do you listen to? Who do you read? What are your things?
So I am obsessed. I've been for like years now. I don't know if any of you have heard. She's more in the health and fitness space, but her name's Chalene Johnson. And the reason why I admire what she does, because she's a mom. She's a woman in business. She's a wife. She's wearing all the hats. And she really prioritizes family. And that's one thing for me that's so important. I mean, like I said, I have my second baby on the way. My husband works insane hours, and just someone else that understands what it's like to want and achieve more, but being grateful for where you're at and always kind of striving for the next thing ahead. I think she's a great example of what it looks like to be able to wear multiple hats, not all at the same time, right? Because that can get crazy, but wear multiple hats and really be able to do very well in each of those areas, because you're very clear on what you're going after. And then the other thing I would say is, and this is just a personal woman that I look up to. It was my own grandmother who had 4 boys, was married for 68 years. This was before Amazon, Instacart, all these amazing things that we have today. But she was literally the pioneer woman of her time. And I don't know how she did it, because I bow down to all of those women that come before us that did all the things, working full time, raising a family, being, an amazing loving mom and wife, and all those hats, and having to truly do it all on your own. So I would say in business for sure, but then I have my own personal as well.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So a lot of people in this following in the group that are subscribers, they are in the real estate industry. So that allows for a lot of flexibility. And then sometimes it requires you to be on call. So do you have any suggestions for that? Even myself, that I have a super structured schedule. I also end up having to deal with things at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when I really have no choice. So do you have any suggestions for how to, because you're very big on planning ahead and making your day all structured. So let's talk about how you give us tips on how to structure and then how to deal with those things that we can't control.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is know your non-negotiables. So what are the things that every single day you need to focus on, right? So if maybe working out for you is something that you're like, if I don't get my workout in, I know I'm just not going to be able to work at the optimal levels that I'm capable of. Maybe it's getting a certain amount of hours of sleep at night, right? Maybe it's knowing what hours of the day you work best. But just having that set, and it's not necessarily routine, but I would say those non-negotiables of knowing every single day what you need to be fulfilled. Because again, for me as a woman who is wearing many hats, a mom, a wife, and running multiple programs and launches at the same time, if I don't have my own cup filled, then nothing else is going to get handled and taken care of. So on top of just, the schedules and having all that in place, because as Melinda knows, I don't know how familiar everyone else is with my systems and scheduling, that's one of the biggest things that I preach about. But I always say, focus on 3 things, no more, no less a day. So what are your 3 overarching targets or goals of the day that are going to help move you forward? Again, this isn't a to-do list. Yes, Melinda has it. She has a nice planner. Yes, Melinda loves.
Inspired by Sandi, this planner.
It's never too far away from me. It's always right next to me by my desk here.
Yes.
But having those 3 things, because those can change every day, and right? We're talking about having that flexibility in our schedules. They're more than likely, life is going to change. Things are going to pop up. Kids are going to get sick. Appointments are going to change. More than likely, that's going to be the case. So focus on what 3 things are going to move you forward each day, and not worrying about, okay, well, I put in my schedule at 6 a.m. I'm doing this, at 11 a.m. I'm doing this, and so on. Don't worry about all that. That's good to have as an ideal breakdown of your day, and those things you can move around. But just know what 3 things that you need to accomplish. Again, what you do and you focus on today can be different than what you're accomplishing tomorrow. But if you focus on that, it's only going to allow you to focus on accomplishing and hitting those targets versus getting crazy and thinking that you have 20 things to do in a day and then you end up hitting none of them.
So you're basically procrastinating is what you're saying, and you're overwhelmed?
God. Yes, because you know what? It's so easy to get overwhelmed and to procrastinate, right? So many of us, I had a client on a call, I think it was on Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. And she's like, I noticed one of the things that I do to procrastinate in my business, if she knows she has something to do, a phone call to make, an email to send, a project to work on, she'll do something else in her business. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. She'll do something else in her business to distract her from the thing that she needs to do. So if you have you done that? So yeah, you're laughing. So I'm assuming yes.
So what if it's this way? What if it's the opposite? Let me play devil's advocate. What if it's like someone like Melinda who fills her plate up, and I mean fills her plate up.
Yeah.
How do you keep organized? For me, I love that, and I feel like the more the better. I want more. I want to have more things to do because I feel like I'm growing, right? So how do you stay organized with that?
Right, but see, it goes back to the same thing. Those three things, right? Because I'm the type of person as well. Like I want to get the most amount done. I want to be effective but efficient in my business. If I'm thinking like I've got 20 things to do, how well are you getting those things done? Right? It's like when we multitask, like you're not 100% in the thing that you're in. So do those three things. And then if there's more to do, then you can move on and continue whatever else needs to be done in the day. But this is the thing. And I think, Anthony, also for women, we struggle with this because we just, I don't know, it's mom's the one picking up the kids from school when they're sick. And it's, there's just more kind of plates in the air. But what I'll say is that when you do have those things that you're focusing on in terms of the three that I was talking about, the three overarching goals, when you accomplish those, you feel good about yourself versus beating yourself up because, oh my God, there was 10 things on the list and I only got 2 of them done, right? So we get to feel that feeling of accomplishment and then move on to the next thing versus there's 20 things on the list and now I feel like I didn't accomplish anything and what did I do today? Today was a waste. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Right? So like giving yourself that feeling of accomplishment, knowing you're doing it right, you're being effective, but also efficient, and you're getting the job done right and moving the ball forward towards where you want to go versus like, let me just get the most done in the least amount of time.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I
so
definitely try to get the most done in the least amount of time.
But when you do that, Melinda, do you find yourself going back and then saying, oh my gosh, I forgot to follow up with this or do that, or, it's kind of like, then are you doing the job twice or do you rather just do it once and get it over and done with the right way?
For sure. And sometimes I struggle with like, where do those little things go? And I guess, if you guys see this, we have like on the top, she has her big 3 for the day. One of them is damage control. Then I have like other stuff, other 2 big things. But then I have like those little things and I just put them on the side and I feel I get those in when I can.
That's why I love that planner so much.
Yeah. That's why the other one that I bought didn't work. I'm like, Sandy, which one are you using again? And she sent me the link. And thankfully it works because it kind of covers like the to-do list, the goals. And I've been drinking so much more water now because I'm
great
day, everyone.
Yes.
Can you ladies drop the link to that planner? I was actually looking for a planner.
Yeah.
Sure.
Actually, I think they're out of stock right now, but I'll so you have it.
They're out of stock because last week I was doing another course for the board and everyone's like, which one do you use? And I showed them and everyone's like, which one? Everyone's like, where do I buy this planner?
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
So the key word though is efficiency. And it's funny because we mentioned in our sales meeting this morning, I said, guys, it's not about your calling the leads and burning through leads. It's being effective and efficient on your delivery and your approach. And that goes in real estate and that goes hand in hand in real estate. How many houses are you showing that consumer? Is it 40 houses? Is it 5 houses like it should be? Being more efficient is going to keep you organized and keep you sane is what Sandy's saying basically, which I love.
Awesome. And then even, I think you preach a lot about this too, Sandy, is creating the systems to streamline the processes, right? So why don't you talk about that a little bit too?
Yeah, so actually
that was the next question.
Program coming out next month on systems. So I'm at the very end, the last month of a 3-month coaching program. The first month we talked about time management. The second month was business marketing and branding. And then this final month in June, which by the way, we start on Monday. So if anyone wants to jump into that, I'll drop the link. It's sandraglandt.com/organization, but it's systems, putting systems into place and being able to have those systems for success. So you're not like, well, I'm trying to do a million things on a Monday, and then Tuesday, I'm maybe following up and prospecting, like knowing what days, like today is my media day. So today is the day that I'm doing like my PR, I'm doing my interviews. Today's like the hair and makeup day, right? So I can do my hair and makeup once versus, I know the ladies can appreciate that on here, versus all day long, because most days I'm like in a hat or the hair is thrown up and it's, you know, it is what it is. But streamlining your days and your systems, so you know what you're doing on what days, you know what day. And I actually have this month, when I was teaching the day on content, was talking about umbrellas and the umbrellas in your business, whether that be follow up or your coaching days, or your, like, just knowing what umbrellas you have in your business. You all will have different systems, right? Like, I have a day that is just my systems day in my business. That's also my systems and my personal days. So if I need to do anything, like yesterday I had to run to the city of Hollywood to drop them a check, anything like those personal days, right? Knowing what days you're scheduling for what, so you can be highly effective and efficient when you're in that space. Because I know for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you, if you're all day long, right? If you're able to be in a prospecting mode, follow-up mode, where you're reaching out to those clients, and then you switch your brain into, let me create stuff, let me, you know, create for social media or my content. You're switching from one gear to the next, versus allowing yourself to really maximize that brain power being in the space that you're in. So I would say for all of you that are like, well, how do I get these systems down? How do I maximize my time for efficiency and really truly being at the top of your game so you can be more productive versus that busy that we were saying a little bit earlier, is having that strategy in place. What days are you doing what? And again, maybe this is you taking inventory of, what did I do last month? We're coming to the end of May. So I do this the end of every month. I plan out my next month. So before we're in that month. So tomorrow, what I do is I'll sit down. I have a big desk calendar that you can't see, that's literally right in front of me. And I'll look and I'll see, what did I work on? What did I do that allowed me to move my business forward? I focus on 3 things. These are daily to-dos, these are projects, and goals. And each one of those are separate, and each one of them means something different. Daily is obviously the things that I'm doing every single day. The goals that I'm going after are the big juicy goals for the month. And then the projects are the things that I'm working on throughout the month. And it sounds like, okay, well, there's a lot of moving parts there, but when you get a strategy in place and you can say, what projects am I going after? And I would even love to see from you guys in the comments, like, what projects are you focusing on, right? Because like, I can even help you structure what that looks like in your own calendar, in your own days, so you can maximize that time, right? We don't want to be just spinning our wheels 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's times when you want to have with your family, downtime, me time, self-care time, right? And you can maximize that when you know, when you're in that space, what you're doing each day versus every day just winging it.
I know one project that Anthony and I are working on is streamlining the damage control process.
So we were talking about.
Yeah. So whether it's multi-purposing the content, but also like planning out, like we're booked up with speakers all the way through like August now.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
we have like an intake form now, like every
and
week
you have the certain days that you shoot, and you have,
so
exactly.
and so that our team can help us, and you know, kind of so we're working on that workflow. So I think that's one of our projects which I would love to really wrap up, Anthony, hint probably in the next 2 weeks, if we can just have our systems built out for that. So
that's where I come into play. I just constantly want to keep going and going and going and going, and let's change this and do that and adapt here and but yeah, we got to come to a conclusion here. We've made wonders.
For speed when you get the systems in place. So once the systems are in place, you'll move so much faster.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I think that, and Anthony and I both have a lot of systems in our business. It takes a lot of time to build that. Anthony talks about his HubSpot and all his things that he has. What did you say took you 7 years to build, or something crazy like that?
2 years in that room over there without the loud sandblasting like they're doing on my room, but literally coding out funnels. I have 197 funnels with just, it's insane.
That's really cool.
Put it together and everything is there, but it's growing. It's awesome. We're blessed. We're very blessed.
And like with my closing software, we have like 98 points in our workflow. I probably touch like 5 or 6 of them in total, but the thing is, because I was such a micromanager that if I know that things are getting done now because they're all there. Like the things I would ask about, they're there. So I can just go in and see what's happening, and they get assigned things every day. I don't need to go in and say, okay, guys, this is what you got to do today. And this, like that was taking up so much of my energy. And now I can just focus on higher level things. So,
and Melinda, you're such a planner like me, where you color coordinate everything and everything has a system. So I know you get it.
It's super important, and it definitely takes time out of our money making to build it out. But once you do it, you have so much more free time.
It's
so
like the jet fuel that you get behind the engine. Once you do it, it's like you're unstoppable, because you get to do that. And that's why I do for me at the end of the month. I do it on the end of the month, and I plan out what I'm going after. But I also do this for my year and my quarters as well. So it's not like a guess to me, okay, well, what do I want to do in June? Like that's already planned out. Like there's a whole method behind the madness. But again, when you have that in place, you move so much faster. Like I had my biggest month in business last month. And when the world is going crazy, it's like, wow, okay, and also the biggest thing too, and I know we're going to talk about this, was knowing the market and being able to shift and pivot and realize, well, what is the need now versus what do I want it to be? Yes, you have the book.
Sandi sent me this book a couple weeks ago, and what was it? Monday night.
I really sent it in March, but it just got
last night.
Yeah, it was on back order, because I guess a lot of people were looking for their cheese and they didn't know where it went.
Yes.
But I read it.
Read this book?
This book is amazing. So if you haven't seen this or heard of this book yet, Who Moved My Cheese? I read it in one night, like really fast, easy read.
It's a short read.
And it was really. I'm like, oh, I thought to myself, wow, I think I moved with the cheese this time. Like I felt really good after reading this. I think that I handled this whole shift in the situation better than I may have done in a few years ago. So I was pretty proud of myself on that with regards to the business cheese moving around.
Yeah, and so they make that same book for kids as well. So if anyone's listening that has kids, my son, I bought that book for my son, and it's his favorite book, because they call it like the magical cheese in the kids book. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, and I don't know if you guys can write in the comments if you read the book before, if you've heard the book before, or not, just so we know who's familiar. But it's essentially all about these 4 characters in the book, and when the change happens, essentially an economy shift, any change in your life, do you sit and hem and haw about it, or do you get up and move and find where your cheese, aka opportunity, money, where that next shift is? And again, it's a short read. It's an amazing book. I read it probably about 6 years ago for the first time, but it's so relevant to today, and just knowing like, okay, and I think this is the biggest thing too, in terms of the economy and individually where we are within our own space. Are you going to let the government, the economy, the politicians decide, right? Okay, these are the handouts, this is who gets the money, whatever, right? Or am I going to do something about it? Because the people that truly take charge and control of their lives, of their opportunities, of their business, are the ones that make it happen for themselves versus waiting for something to happen. And that's what this book talks about. And I'm so passionate about it, because I love the message. And like I said, it's a short read, and it's $10.99 on Amazon, Bob says. And
Bob already looked it up.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's just, at the end of the day, whether it's the economy as it is now with COVID changing, or anything personal in your life, or anywhere in between, this is an amazing book to go back to and reference.
For sure. I think my biggest lesson from the book, and a reminder, is that things will change. They are destined to change. Change is guaranteed. So just keeping that in mind, and just remembering that will help you be more flexible when that change does come. And then one of the things was like, make sure you smell the cheese. In other words, like pay attention to what's happening. Right?
Yes.
Like, so watch your numbers, reflect, look back what you did last month. Why was March so good? Or sorry, you said April was your best month, you said? Last month was your best month?
Yep.
Why was April so good? What did you do in March and February that ended up making April so good, right? It's not April. April is not what made you so good, is what you did leading up to that, right?
With that is the 90-day delay, right?
Right.
So what we do today, we get to reflect and have the benefits and reap the benefits and fruits of our labor 90 days from today. So where are you putting in the work? And that's why I say, like, tracking those statistics. And I go back and I look at my calendar and what did I do? And what were either the offers or the actual steps I was taking in my business, and what was working and what wasn't, right? Because that's proven statistics that we can track. It's not a guessing game, right? Like, we don't want to leave our business up to just a guessing game or chance. You want to be able to take control of that and say, okay, what did I do? What's working? And then eliminate the things that aren't and do more of the things that obviously are working.
Yes, we preach that all the time when we're doing our different workshops, our business planning and things for the agents, is like, especially if you're spending money on marketing or different things, like, is it really working, right? Is that, or is your time spent in an organization that you're there for referral building and relationship building, is it really working, or et cetera? Like, obviously you have to let things have time to develop. But after a while, you need to kind of say, stay, yes or no, or do more of it, or let's cut it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, okay, so a lot of people here maybe are not super planners. So for someone who wants to start planning out their day, their week, their month, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah. So, okay, this is a two-part. So one, know what your goal is, right? Like, we have to start somewhere. And the best way to do this is to backtrack out from where you want to be. So let's say the goal is a monetary goal. You have a certain number you want to hit, clients you want to close, whatever that is for you. What's the end goal, right? So we look at that first, and then we backtrack out from there. And another thing is too, is I have a woman in my coaching program, and she's a realtor. And she's like, I'm so afraid of hearing the word no. Right? So here's another book I'm going to throw out at you guys. It's called Go for No. And it's getting rid of the fear of hearing the word no. So you can start to track, again, all about the stats, the statistics. So every time you hear the word no, how many no's is it going to take you to get to a yes? Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 5, right? But knowing, like, I need to make X amount of phone calls to close this many deals. I need to make this many connections, prospects, whatever that looks like, right? So start with the end goal in mind and then work your way backwards from there. And then also the same thing applies with what the goals and the targets are and the dailies that I was talking about for each month. So the way that we plan out hitting our goals actually sooner than projected, and I do this every single month. This is how I was able to write my book in the middle of a move and COVID and pregnancy and all the things ahead of time, is because I look at what I'm doing every single day, but what I'm doing every single day is based on the goal, the end goal. And then I work back from there and I say, okay, if this is the goal, then what does that look like when I break it down into my quarters, my months, my weeks, and my days? And that for me, and I know it sounds for some of you who are like not the planners, like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work. I promise you, when you start to do it, it's fun, it's easy. It takes, Melinda, how long does it take you to do your planner every day? It takes what, 2 minutes? No more than 5 minutes.
Exactly. And so what I try to do is at the beginning, like on the weekend usually, or Monday morning, I put in my big like calendar things for the whole week. And then I see where my slots are. And then that's how I kind of plan out the other stuff to go in and where it really makes sense and doable.
Yeah. You know? So that for me goes on my big planner, like on my desk, big calendar planner. Those things will go in there. And then in my the calendar that Melinda was showing you, in there are the things every single day that I'm doing. So again, if you have goals that you want to go after and you're like, why am I not hitting them? Why am I setting myself up to hit this monetary goal or close this many clients or whatever the goal is, personal or professional? You have to know what it is first, right? We can't just say, well, I would like to have this happen. You have to know what it is and then backtrack from there how you're going to make it happen. And the same thing goes with those things that you're doing every single day. And like I said, don't overwhelm yourself. For me, I'm able to get so much done in every area because I'm very strategic about how I'm doing it. And it's not overwhelming and it doesn't ever feel like, I get excited. Like when I talk about my goals and what I'm going after and what I'm planning for, I get excited because I know that it's literally like, it's right there. It's just a matter of me putting those little steps in every single day. And if you guys do the same thing and you focus on the goal and then you backtrack out, you're going to be so excited about the phone calls you're making, the emails you're sending, the networks, the connections that you're making, because you know it's getting you closer to hitting that big juicy goal that you have.
Yes. And then just think about the feeling of it. I don't know, Anthony, do you plan out your day?
Yes, I do. And what about writing them down, Sandy? Like, elaborate on that. Elaborate on that, because that's something that I feel like a lot of agents are probably going to say, oh, do I have to write it down? What is that going to do if I write down? I write down my goals every single day. For me, I always use the analogy of like a vision board, and it's going to, you know, put that energy out in the world. It's going to come back. It's same. I'm a big runner. I like to run every single day. I want to see results. How fast can I get? What, you know, how many miles can I run today? For me, psychologically, it makes me feel better. But could you just touch on that, elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, I want to first start off by saying, if it's important to you, you're not going to put it off. If it's something that you are dedicated to, if it's something that, look, and if it's a goal of yours, obviously it's something that you want to accomplish. Look at how many of us set like New Year's resolutions in the beginning of the year, and you may write something down or even think it once, and then you fall off track 2 weeks later. It's a proven statistic that 80% of people fall off their New Year's resolutions 2 weeks after they set them, right? But why is that? Because there's no action behind it. So put the action behind the thing that you want to achieve. So that means writing it down, having the attention on it every single day. Do what works for you. Maybe it's a sticky note on your mirror. Maybe it's doing, you know, the planning like I'm talking about. But you have to do something. You have to have the plan in place, or the attention's not there to get it done. The focus is not there, right? It's like if you're like, okay, I want to eat healthy, but you've got cookies and cake and ice cream in your fridge. Why are you allowing that to be a block for yourself, right? Don't make it harder than it has to be. Focus on the things that you want to accomplish, but you have to see it. You have to visualize it. You have to know that it's right there. And by writing it down, you're putting the attention on there every single day, because you know, well, I want to accomplish this goal. These are the action steps behind it. And it's no like magic. This isn't like only certain people at certain levels can do this. Anyone can do this. It's just a matter of how bad you want it, and are you willing to put in the work for your goals and your dreams, and ultimately the life you want to live.
Awesome. Good stuff.
That's good stuff, man. Really good stuff. I got my sticky pad here. I'm just writing stuff down as we go here.
So, and I want to I don't know if everyone who's watching really plans their day or not yet, or sometimes does it. Like sometimes I'm in a really good habit, and then sometimes I'll fall off. And when I fall off that habit of planning my day, I can feel it all day. Mm-hmm. It's usually those days that I'm like feeling overwhelmed and have so many things going on. And so today was kind of one of those days, because I'm on 3 big Zoom calls all day today. So that eats up most of my day. And just sometimes it happens like that. So I'm like, okay, but Sandy's coming on the show today. I better plan my day, you know? And it only took me like 3 minutes. I put in my checklist. I put on my things. And then actually I feel much better about it, because I could see what I got going on and I know what I got to do. Yep. So versus trying to keep it all in your head and then go and just being in response mode versus action mode. And
I'll say even those 3 things for me, like they're not all strictly just business, right? So like for me, if I look at what I have on there, if I even look back to yesterday, like I said, I had to go run down to the city of Hollywood and get them a check. That wasn't a business thing. That was a personal household thing that had to be done within 24 hours. So it was certain things in my business needed to be addressed, but then there's a personal thing in there as well. But again, I never go over those 3 things, because then that defeats the purpose of really honing in on what's moving me forward.
I love that. So when you're breaking down, you said you had the umbrellas, and then that you work into your daily to-dos versus what were the other 2? Refresh my memory.
Yeah. So they're projects. Okay. So again, this I backtrack. So I do my goals first. Okay. So what are the big juicy goals that you want to go after and accomplish? And then it's your projects, and then your dailies. So the projects are things that would fall under what is that going to look like to help me to accomplish the goal. I'll give you an example. So a goal of mine was obviously finishing my book, because that needed to get out to the publisher, that needed to be done for me to obviously get to the next step. So a part of that project, under the goal of finish the book, write the book, get it done, was hiring a PR team. So hiring a PR team to help with, you know, the interviews, the collaborations, things like that. So for me, a project was researching the different companies. I must have talked to 10 different PR companies, you know, to see who the good fit was. And then ultimately hiring the company that was the best fit. Some other projects, and I have it right here on my desk. It was launching a webinar, putting that structure in place, because there's the pre-launch and then your actual launch stage. I have my number of clients that I have on there that I needed to reach out to. New opt-ins, weekly newsletter, weekly lives, book launch promo group. So like these things fall under the categories of not what the actual goal is, but the targets that are going to help me get to reaching that goal. And
so projects, would they fall under projects?
So yeah, so those are my projects. The projects support the goals.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So the projects are essentially the action steps that you're taking to help you reach the big juicy goal.
So the projects, like you said, like weekly lives, like when you go live in your Facebook group, for example, or on Instagram, that's a project. So how do you break that down? Like, okay, I need to come up with ideas. I need to schedule them. I need to create the images.
I get out the calendar and I say, okay, this is the day that the program starts. I backtrack out 2 weeks from there. That's my pre-launch schedule. Within that time frame, I'm going live Tuesdays, Thursdays, this time. These are the topics. Like everything is planned out. So I know, again, Tuesdays I go live, Thursdays I go live. Every Thursday, I have another group that I'm the co-founder of called Project in Charge, where we do lives. So every Thursday, that's on the calendar for that. So just again, being in the wheelhouse of let's say being on, doing interviews, being on, right? Versus like when I'm in my content creation days, because I have to create the content for the courses, the programs, everything going out. I wouldn't do that in the same day where I'm like showing up and I need the energy to go live and teach a group or a course or a program. So they look very different.
It's so interesting how Sandy's saying this, because I do this a lot. Sometimes I'll go into marketing mode, and then in the beginning, I had an app come in the morning, and it's like, it screws up your momentum. It screws up your whole day.
Yes.
It takes away from everything. Melinda's amazing at that. I mean, you're doing back-to-back Zoom meetings, so you're delegating that time wisely and effective. I guess my question would be, as a real estate agent, if a client calls them, obviously that prospect is going to come first. At that point, they're just going to reschedule their marketing day if they were just honing in on doing marketing for that day.
No.
I mean, how would they effectively make that work?
That's a great question, Anthony.
So and you know what? That question came up in my coaching group. And what I'll say is, look, if someone's calling you and that's a potential client, we never turn down business. So you're not going to be like, well, I can't talk to you today because today's not my day to prospect. This system, this is like what we talked about, right? When things come up. This is a perfect example of, well, what do I do when my day doesn't go according to plan or whatever it is? Because again, that's always going to happen. I would never ever tell them, well, I'll call you back tomorrow because tomorrow's the day for this. You take the call for sure, 100%, you do that then. But the reason why we have these days is so you can structure, so you know what you're doing on those days. Again, if something pops up, you handle what's needed, right? If that's like an urgent, important task that you have of the day that isn't expected, of course you're gonna put attention on it. But it's to give you the structure to move your business along, so you know essentially every single day what you're doing, where your time is, and you can maximize that time versus going here, going there. Imagine like you're driving a car, right? And you're like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, and then I'm gonna go home, and then I'm gonna do my emails, and then I'm gonna run out and I'm gonna drop off my laundry, and then I'm gonna come back home and I'm gonna take some phone calls. You're like, why am I draining myself going from thing to thing to thing that's totally not related? It's the same thing in our brains. it's going from one compartment to another versus staying in that zone and maximizing the juice and the energy and the flow and being able to stay there versus spreading yourself way too thin and all over the place.
I love that.
Stay in your zone. I freaking love it, man.
And if you guys follow any of the creatives that talk about this, they call it batching. So it's kind of a silver concept. You're batching your tasks that are similar in nature together, which is, and sometimes like, I don't know about you guys, but I think like everybody here that's a real estate agent, you should be prospecting every day. You should be batching that in the morning and doing your calls in the morning. And that's, you know, and then in the afternoon, you can schedule your showings, you can schedule your networking, you schedule whatever, depending on the day, if you're going to be out or whatever. So that's the same concept. It's just putting it out on paper and having that plan, and then later being able to adjust if you need to. But at least you had the plan, and you know, you're not like trying to figure out what to do when you wake up. You already know you kind of have the plan.
Then you're already behind schedule. Same thing with your months. Like when I say plan out your months ahead of time, I always plan my day the night before. And for me, it's either the night before or when I go into mommy mode, from work mode to mommy mode. And before I shut it down, then I do my planner for the next day.
I love that. I love that. I do it usually. And so I just got to be more like,
so you have to listen. There was an interview that Ed Milet did with, he's actually a friend of mine. It's so funny, from years ago. And Dave Meltzer and Ed Milet did together. And he was talking about the consistency of doing something every single day. And as we build the consistency, and again, Dave goes into detail on this, I'm just kind of summarizing it. And when you break the chain, you start back at 1. So if you're doing something consistently for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 90 days, and then there's that break in the chain, in the cycle, you go back to 1. It's like you clear the board. So you're gaining so much more momentum when you consistently are doing something versus, well, I dabble here, I do a little there. I mean, it's better than nothing, don't get me wrong, but having the consistency of doing it every single day creates the muscle, and it creates, you know, for you knowing I have to do this. This is my it's like all of us, you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, right? It's like, you just do it. It's automatic. It's creating that automatic trigger in our brains at either this time or the end of the day or whatever that looks like for you, that you have that habit in place.
Love it.
So many agents, they need this structure. I mean, it's remarkable what you're saying. I'm literally just listening and soaking up all of this stuff right now. For me, running every single day, you're building that muscle, right? You're building that mental strength and that capability. And obviously I had that injury about 2-3 months ago, and now I'm starting back from square one, which psychologically gets to you and affects you. But same thing in sales. You get a client that obviously says, no, I don't want this, or no, I'm not going to take this listing or whatnot. It really messes with the brain, man. So it's funny that you mentioned all this stuff.
Your tool. Again, the book for No is probably one of the biggest mental shifts that I had in business, because we all, like, you hear no and you're like, oh my God, is it personal? Why did they say no? We take it as such a personal attack versus, okay, guess what? That no means my yes is coming. That one no is one more check and tally on that's one step closer towards my yes. So again, as you track that, and as you get to see, well, every time I reach out and I prospect and I hear 10 no's, I know that the yes is coming, right? So it makes it fun. It turns it into a game versus something to be afraid of and to stay away from. Because like I said, I had a client in my coaching program, and she's like, I literally don't prospect because I'm so afraid of the rejection. I'm so afraid of hearing no. And I said, do you see what you're doing? Because like she was telling me, we're breaking down her goals, and she had these major goals. And I said, but you're afraid of the prospecting. So how are we going to get to the goal of hitting these amazing luxury properties that you want to close on, millions of dollars, over here, but you hear one no and you're done. Like there's just not a connection. So what I helped her do was kind of, again, reverse engineer and work through hearing the no. It's not about a rejection. It's not about you. Take yourself out of the process and focus on the no means I'm one step closer to the yes. And this is for anything. This is for dating, you guys that are single. This is for work, right? It's just, you can't let that be your stop if you have these amazing, juicy, big goals you're going after.
And even when it comes to no, I don't know if anyone has read the book, Never Split the Difference.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that true negotiations, not just in a sales call, but true negotiations, if you're negotiating a contract or something, that doesn't really start until you hear no.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to, hire somebody or things like that. So it's a really cool book, and you learn a lot of things about human nature in that, and trying to get
psychology.
Yes, psychology. It's super cool. So I love that. So we only have a few minutes left. If you have 2 or 3 big takeaways that you want to send people off with, and then of course tell them how they could find you and
amazing. So I would say, if you're not a planner now, if you're totally new to this, just start with the 3 things you're going to focus on every single day. Your 3, and again, for me, because I've been doing this forever, and I coach on this and I teach on this, I have a million systems for all of these things. But if you're brand new and you're like, but Sandi, I want to be productive, I want to get off the hamster wheel of feeling like I'm busy and I'm just always spinning my wheels. First thing, write down your 3 goals every single day of what you want to accomplish. And then the second thing would be, statistics are everything. So know your stats, know what's working, track everything in terms of, this could be the lengths of the call, the close, anything that you're going after in terms of getting to that end goal of where you want to be. There has to be something that you can track so you can duplicate and repeat that. So just know what it is that you're going after, and then make it easier on yourself. Don't complicate the process. Know what you're doing through the months, down to the weeks and the days. And I promise you guys, it's not as hard or as crazy as it sounds, because once you get it done, you take action on it. So having that plan in place is so important, to be strategic about where you want to go, how you're going to accomplish it faster. And then the amazing thing is, it happens really fast. So it's not just like, oh, well, I've got to wait. And then it could be a few years or months before it happens. You're going to see it when you start to implement this. You get really strategic really fast, because you know exactly what you're doing. You know what the game plan is, and you attack, you go after it. And I know all of you are here in business, you're in real estate. That means you guys are going after something. I know you have big, juicy goals. And when you have this plan in place, I promise you, it's going to speed up the process so much faster for you.
Awesome.
Love it. All right. How can they find you?
Yes. So across social media at Sandi Glandt, Sandi with an I, I'll type it in. And then that course that starts on Monday, sandraglandt.com/organization. And I'll type that in again. I typed it in the comments. But again, this is the last month of my 3-month-long program. And we dive into systems for success. What that means is getting organized, implementing what your months are looking like. Everyone has their own individual goals, so it'll be your own system based on what you're going after. But I give you the blueprint and the structure on how to do it. And we walk through that. And it's 2 calls a month. Everything's recorded. So you have lifetime access to all the content. You can go back. I know so many of my girls in my program, they'll be like, okay, it's a new month. I want to go back to that, the training that we did from last month to set the month ahead. So it's just so important to have this. And if you are going after those big, juicy goals, you have to have the system in place. You don't want to just leave it up to chance.
Love it.
Awesome. All the content will be pushed out tomorrow, guys. So those of you that are live on Facebook, all content will be pushed out tomorrow. And all information with Sandi will be pushed out as well. I want to say thank you so much. I've got two things of some good information here.
I gotta give you a planner.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Anthony, for another great show. Thank you, Sandi, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for jumping on. And thanks for everyone who's watching this after on the recording. We really appreciate you guys. Hope you find this to be a good one. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.